I'm Chris,
And I'm Kiley. And this is Redefining Resilience,
where we explore what it means to build a resilient lifestyle
so you can thrive in any and every situation. What do you want to talk about today?
Today, I would like to talk about rejecting a victim mindset.
Okay.
So, we talked about this a little while, the victim mindset being something that kind of plagues a lot of people. Something happens to you once, and then from here on out, the rest of your life, you are a victim of said circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
So, like always, I asked the Googler, and the AI gave me a victim mindset is characterized by blaming others, feeling powerless, and seeing oneself as constantly at the mercy of external circumstances. Constantly.
Yeah, it's a strong belief.
It is.
To think that the entire world is against you.
But I mean, how many people do you hear say, I always get this, or I always get the short end of the stick, or this always happens to me?
It's a lot.
Yeah. I think it's actually normal nomenclature for bad circumstances to talk about how this bad circumstance always happens to you.
Or like the old phrase goes, when it rains, it pours. This is always happening to me, or one thing after another.
So one I use all the time is life sucks, then you die.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty funny, but I need to stop using it because it's literally exacerbating the victim mindset. Life sucks, then you die.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's silly. So I wanted to find out what the opposite of a victim mindset is, and we landed on, via the Googler, the winner mindset. It embraces personal responsibility, resilience, and a proactive approach to challenges, viewing obstacles as opportunities for growth, and actively seeking solutions.
I mean, can you imagine what life would be like if we didn't have adversity? We'd never have to grow or change. We'd never have to come up with new ideas or innovative solutions. We'd never have to flex any critical thinking skills. We'd literally be living in the Truman Show, just operating like robots on a scheduled clock.
You ever seen the movie Wall-E?
Maybe.
It's a kid's movie.
Yeah, I think, was it a cartoon about robots? A robot?
Yeah, little trash robot.
Yeah, he was cute.
Wall-E was cute. And then the humans in that movie face no adversity. They sit on a toilet that drives them around, that they just consume and consume and consume, and they have no reason to do anything.
It was a prophecy.
Yeah, it's actually a really funny movie if you watch it and
apply it.
Yeah, how it actually applies to real life. It's like, well, shit, I hope we don't end up here, but I can see how we can.
Well, we have so much convenience that we take for granted how difficult life used to be before we got technology. I mean, the world transformed at an exponential rate when we got the internet and people could communicate and find information at an insane pace in comparison to, well, if you wanted to look up information on a particular bird, you'd go to the library and get an encyclopedia and read about it. Now you ask AI all these crazy complex questions and it can give you a damn near accurate answer to just about any question you could possibly have.
Which means we have more data to solve more problems faster. So we are presented with probably the same amount of variables. We just have 10 million times more capabilities to solve those problems.
If you think about it, I just think we've gotten very comfortable with the convenience. So when we have any kind of slight inconvenience or discomfort, it just completely wrecks our day. It's like traffic, for example. Yeah. I used to get mad. I used to be like, well, one, I was always rushing to get everywhere. So it was not like I gave myself like oodles of wiggle room in my transit time. So anytime I'd experience traffic, it was like the end of the world because I'm about to be 5 minutes late for a yoga class that is supposed to be there to help me relax.
Yeah.
But here I am stressing out, not relaxing on the way to get there.
Yeah. So I looked up the key differences between these two, the victim mindset and the winner mindset. And the key differences start with responsibility, the focus we have on challenges, the attitude we have towards adversity, and the action we take.
Mm-hmm.
So responsibility, focus on challenges, attitude, and action.
I mean, if I were to boil down what makes somebody successful at sales, it's those three things.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not getting the results you want, like, you have to own it. If you don't own it, then you're saying, well, because of these external circumstances, I'm not going to be successful. That means you have no power in the situation.
Which is interesting, right? If we look at it at the gym, it's looking at a barbell and saying, hey, listen, I'll never be able to move it. I can't move it. It's impossible.
Right.
It's too heavy. Well, have you even tried? Have we done all the things we should do in order to build the body that can handle this? Or maybe we lower the weight and we talk about reps. Maybe we change the variables a little bit. We work on ourselves and we become better. So getting into strength sports, I was told my whole life, too weak for this, too small for that, built weird, can't do it. Well, I just chiseled away 1% all the time to where now the people I talk to ask how I did what I did. But if you go way back in the beginning, I technically should have never started it, listening to all the people tell me that the adversity was too large.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's interesting, though, when it lands with responsibility first. So the definition of a winner mindset starts with personal responsibility, and the key differences between the two start with personal responsibility. You have to understand that it is your job and your job only to fix this or to change it. If you're presented with a situation like being late to work, how do you solve that? You leave a little bit earlier. You take the responsibility to map out your time, or you schedule the later yoga class.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do in order to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the world happening to you. But if we look at it like the world's happening to us, and we're just stuck in these gears and this big impossible set of time just grinding away, then everything's going to suck.
It made me think of, I had an old coworker who lived like 45 minutes to an hour away from the office where we worked. And she would constantly get in late and then constantly leave early so that she could avoid traffic. And then would constantly get yelled at for not being in on time or leaving too early, because the terms of her employment were that you work these hours, right? And so every single day she was a victim of that traffic every day. Like, yeah. Instead of taking personal responsibility for accepting the job in the first place that required an hour commute both ways, she just was a victim of the whole situation until it was like an abrupt ending because of how many times she got told she was in trouble because she was late.
Yeah. So 2 examples they gave me I thought were pretty cool. Or one for each. I can't get the promotion because my boss doesn't like me. That's an example of taking zero personal responsibility. Mm-hmm. The opposite of that would be, I need to develop the skills to be ready for the next promotional opportunity. If I didn't get it, why? Ask the question, why didn't I get promoted?
Yeah.
So I worked at a window plant when I was in college on midnights. It's probably the worst job I've ever had.
Yeah,
if anybody listening to this works in a factory on midnights, kudos to you. You're an animal. Like, that's an incredibly hard thing to do. And one of the promotions came up for day shift, and it was a fork truck driver. And I'm like, man, this is going to be great. I know I'm going to get it. I'm way smarter than everybody else on the line. Like, this is mine. I totally have it. Not thinking, well, I'm 20 years old. I have no fucking idea what I'm doing. I've never even seen a fork truck in real life, much less drove the thing. So, like, why would I even be considered for this position? I just assumed because I applied for it and people kind of like me when I talked to them, I was a shoo-in. Well, of course I didn't get it. And then I was all butthurt and angry about it. I thought, man, it's just the man, putting their thumb on me. I'm just a cog in a wheel, and this life sucks. And
right on par for the course, right?
Yeah, here it is, getting screwed again.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, man. Why don't I relax, take a step back, ask who got the position. There's a guy named Brian that worked on the line with me who had 10 years of fork truck driving experience in a factory down the road. So literally moved to this job to get that job. It just wasn't open yet. Why did I think I was going to beat him?
I don't know.
And why in the world would I look at that as the world attacking me? That's insane.
But there's so many people that do that. I am astounded every time somebody says, well, you know what? I can't, there's not any upward advancement for me in this company. And that's the reason why a lot of people leave jobs. Yeah. And it's shocking to me when I ask, well, have you told anybody that you want a promotion, that you would like more responsibility, that you want a bigger role? Well, no.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if you're not actively looking for ways to advance or planting seeds or sharing your vision with the people that are in a position to do something about it, then you can't act surprised when nothing works in your favor.
Or you don't get what you want.
Yeah.
You don't ask the question, you can't get the answer you're looking for. Now, there have been times that things have landed in my lap. There have been times that I wasn't looking for a promotion and my boss called me in and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I haven't talked to him in a while. Oh, by the way, here's a great promotion, Chris. It's like, well, shit, that's awesome. That's really cool. That's happened to me once. And it was random. And I kind of, when you look back at it, it's like, of course, this was why they hired me.
I had a similar situation. I got recruited by an alcoholic beverage company and took the job, and 6 months into the job they got bought out, so my position got eliminated. I finally had gotten this prestigious role that I really wanted, and 6 months later the rug is ripped from underneath me, and then I was unemployed. I broke my hand, or I broke my wrist, and was like, this is fucking bullshit. Everything's against me. And then I interviewed for, countless jobs. I had a spreadsheet. I tracked all these jobs that I applied for, that I interviewed for. I interviewed with some of the biggest companies in the country, not just here in Indianapolis, but I interviewed with some of the biggest companies, wasn't getting hired. And fast forward, where I ended up going really was a crucial step in my career path to help me get to where I'm at today. And so if I hadn't been, let go because this merger happened, and if I hadn't been rejected from all the jobs I interviewed for that weren't quite right, and I hadn't landed where I landed, I wouldn't be doing the work I am today. It just wouldn't have happened. So fast forward, obviously, hindsight's 2020, and I can see that now that I'm further removed from it. But how often are we in the moment and thinking, oh, this is happening to me, instead of trusting in the process? And when we say trust in the process, it's really just have faith that you're going to land where you're meant to land. You're going to go through an experience that was meant for you. And a lot of experiences truly do suck. So I don't want to pretend like everything is equal. All problems are equal, because it's not. Me being unemployed is not the same thing as somebody suffering a horrible illness or, losing a loved one due to some very tragic circumstances that nobody could have predicted, like murder, right? Not all things are equal, and not all things can be rationalized and quickly accepted and moved on from. But I do think that even people who have gone through horrific trauma, on the other side of it, can see that it made them a stronger person. I hear that a lot when I hear from people who have been through traumatic experiences, that what they went through made them stronger, and it has become part of their story and how they're able to serve other people. They truly turn that pain into their purpose.
Well, they also like Will Yank.
Yeah, absolutely.
His podcast, by the way, is fantastic. If you want to go re-listen to that one, I do occasionally.
On Redefining Resilience.
Yes. He talked about the adversity he was going through, helping him find out what 100% actually looked like. What does working your hardest actually look like? Life will happen to you whether you're working hard or not. If you're doing things to the best of your ability, you're exhausting all options, you're pushing yourself to be your best. You ask the question, what else can I do to make this better? And then at the end of every day, most days, you say, no, I did all I could. Then life's going to work out a lot different, because you're taking the personal responsibility not of going through adversity, but going through the day-to-day. If you take the responsibility of going through the day-to-day at your best, then adversity isn't as bad because you're taking control of your days. What happens is when we don't, and then things happen to us, we have no idea what to hold on to, because there are multiple days that we just kind of, took too many bathroom visits, or like spent most of the time on our phone, or like really didn't work that hard. So it's almost in the back of our head legitimate that this is happening to us, which makes it even more frustrating. And then when we have worked as hard as we could, we can at minimum leave that situation and go, you know what? I did my best. I know I did my best. And then you can find something else. We can do something else. Other things will happen. But I'm a firm believer, what you put out is what you get. You put out a half-assed effort, you're going to get half-assed stuff back.
Yeah. I mean, I always operate with the mindset of, would I be performing like this if somebody was watching me at all times?
Yeah.
And I might choose a different imaginary observer for a given scenario. Like, you and I were just in my office a few minutes ago before we started recording, and I was walking on the treadmill, and you guys don't know this, but Chris left early before I was completely done with my full 30 minutes, and I hit minute 29 and I hit 1 mile, and I was like, I could just do 1 mile or 30 minutes, whichever happens first. So technically I could be done right now. And I was like, shoot, like, if Chris was in here, would he let me off the hook with my 30-minute walk? And is it really that hard for me to do a 30-minute walk in a day? No, I don't think so. And I literally will think when I'm in the gym, like, what would Chris tell me right now? Because if you're the pinnacle of fitness in my mind, like, you are the person that has the highest standards for me to adhere to. When I think about my nutrition and I think about Christine and me sticking to the plan, and Christine is my nutrition coach, I think, like, okay, if Christine were here right now, would she say that I was successful today or not?
I think that's beautiful. Take somebody that you value and respect their decision or their processes and their opinions, and use it as a filter. As silly as this sounds, I used to do it all the time with Action Hero.
I used to do it with my former boss. I would think, like, okay, if my boss was in here right now watching what I'm doing on the computer, or what I'm doing scrolling through my phone, because there would be times where I would click on Facebook or scroll on the gram, right? And then I'm thinking in my head, well, I'm getting it paid right now. Yeah. Am I earning my money, or am I wasting their dollars?
Well,
you have to think like that. Okay, so you did it with Action Heroes?
I did. I grew up watching Rocky, Rambo, Commando, all those other awesome ones, and I would think, am I going to the gym or cleaning my bedroom or running this mile to the intensity that would make somebody like that proud? Or would they be like, come on, man?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, and if you think about it, all these people that we're using as the standard most likely have a winning mindset. where they're looking to be the best in that one particular thing.
Yeah.
I have a lot of clients tell me that they think like, what would Kiley tell me when they get stuck in a sales situation that they need to try and navigate, or they're thinking about their efforts and where they spend their time and how they manage their time effectively. And that makes me proud, because then it tells me that I'm at least doing something right, to the point where people feel like I'm the standard in that particular area. And so I think we all have to think, like, what do I want to be the standard in? What am I demonstrating exemplary behavior in? Because if I'm not satisfied with my own behaviors and I'm feeling like I'm stuck or a victim of my circumstances, you know, how can I be my own hero in this situation? What am I expecting someone to do for me? Now I'm going to go do that thing.
I still use those guys as a filter all the time.
That doesn't surprise me.
I mean, I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, would John Rambo be proud of this right now? I understand it's actually Sylvester Stallone. I understand it's a made-up character, but like, for some reason that movie stuck with me. Some kind of characteristic of the character in that movie resonated with me enough that for 20 years I would go to the gym and ask myself that question. Like, that shaped my life. So why can't I continue to utilize that? And when you say things like, I would think about what Chris tells me, it's like, well, shit, I used Rambo and Rocky to get where I am now, and now other people are seeing what I've done and using me as a standard. Now I have no choice. I have to continue. So I have to amplify the version of Rocky and Rambo to get even better and continue to push myself, because now people are dependent on me.
Mm-hmm.
And the craziest part about that scenario is everybody is watching you. I've had people text me about people I work out with. And they'll say, man, this guy's killing it. Or, man, this girl's killing it. I know, man. And they don't have any idea that anybody's watching. They don't have any idea things are going on. When you ran that Spartan race, Big Rob texts me and goes, bro, I'm super inspired.
I know. And Stephanie Rossi, shout out to Steph, is doing a Spartan race now because she said I inspired her to do it. And I think it's so cool, because imagine what having a network full of inspired people is going to do for all of us. You know, I think that's where all of these domains that we talk about on this podcast, they really do bleed together, because here's the biggest thing. If you can recognize that you are in a victim mindset, you feel like things are unfair right now, you feel like you're stuck, you feel like things are happening to you and, you know, life just sucks. You feel alone right now. Now is the time to be resourceful and find community. Because I was in a place, I remember in college, where I was just like going through the gambit of emotions and had nobody to talk to. I was working more hours than I really should have been as a college student, bartending. And I mean, I worked probably 55 hours a week, and then was going to school full time and trying to maintain grades and everything. And I just got overwhelmed and burnt out, and, you know, felt like I had nobody to talk to. Well, that was when I got a therapist. I first started going to therapy when I was in college and realized, like, I don't have any friends that I want to tell my problems to.
Yeah.
So it was a perfect opportunity, because if what I'm feeling is lonely, okay, find a person. Find a person.
You don't even have to say you're in a position that you're financially strapped and a therapist or paying for a coach just isn't a thing right now. Start putting things in your life in order. Start understanding that you're in control of all of it, meaning the food you eat, when you wake up, how you sleep, you know, whether or not you make your bed, whether or not you keep your apartment or your house clean, whether or not you take care of the things that you are in control of. I know for a fact a clean vehicle will make you feel better when you get in it. There are millions of studies out for how clean things change your psyche. There is proof that a clean old car drives better than the same dirty car. Drives better. It's the same fucking car. But because it's clean, people think it drives better. That's insanity. But it's true. You can control your environment and the variables in it with your effort. So we need to understand even meal prepping, even taking care of yourself in the gym or going on walks. Those are things that are going to shape your mindset for the long run and change big things in the future. You can't change big things now because big decisions don't exist. The only thing that exists are small ones. Every day, every minute, you're making a decision. All that does is compile up until it pigeonholes you in a corner, and you have to make another small decision that has big outcomes. So just focus on the small ones each day, and then you don't have to worry about being pigeonholed into some huge decision like, well, now I had a fucking heart attack because I didn't take care of myself. Well, now I'm 300 pounds overweight because I've never watched what I eat. Or now I blew out my hip because I've never worked out or taken care of myself. Those are small daily decisions that just equal another small decision. So we want to take our small decisions and understand we can either be a victim with each one of them or a winner. Do we want to have a winner's mindset towards our life? Personal responsibility, baby. Every decision has something that I can control in it.
Well, and if you look at the life that you want to have, right? So if the vision is to be rich or famous or successful or just peaceful and happy, look at people who exemplify that and look at how they live and what their habits are. So if I were to say, oh, I want to be wealthy, I mean, if I go to a wealthy person's home, typically it's very well maintained, very pristinely cleaned and kept up and organized, and it looks like a Better Homes and Gardens magazine.
Yeah.
Right? So if I want to attain that, then I have to start operating with those habits now, because that's the only way I'm going to get there.
Well, you're creating the person that lives like that.
Yeah.
That's what I think the largest disconnect is we want things in the future, but we're not willing to build the person to get there.
Well,
we assume that we will be the same person with different circumstances. It's a different person in different circumstances in the future is what it actually is. So you have to build that person day by day, decision by decision.
My favorite analogy, because it's easy for everybody to get, but it's like the bachelor who says, I want a wife and family, but goes out partying every weekend, lives downtown, has a bachelor pad, no room for a spouse to move in there, and also has a lifestyle that no female would want to be a part of. Like you're going out with women every other day and living a bachelor lifestyle. You can't say you want something, but live in a totally different way, right, from what you're trying to attain. So if you want a better solution, you have to slowly start operating like the person who has the life that you're trying to create. You don't get there by playing a victim, because no one's going to come save you and give you that life.
Yeah, it's not going to appear. I say it every day, probably. The only person that's going to save you is in the mirror. So ask that guy or gal how to get there and then start that process.
I think fairy tales have done a great job of convincing us that, some magic prince will come and save me. But I hate to tell you, it's probably not going to happen.
No, it's physically impossible, because you're asking somebody that is driven, focused, in shape, getting shit done, ready to take over a kingdom, riding a white horse around in the woods in search of his wife to just find you. Like, you're not doing anything. You're asleep in a glass case and they're just going to show up. Or some woman's just going to show up on your doorstep and worship you because you're you. I don't think so, bud. Like, you got to create the person that attracts the person you want to be with.
We're in control of it.
So to wrap this all up, victim mindset is characterized by blaming others and feeling powerless. A winner's mindset embraces personal responsibility and has a proactive approach to challenges. Mm-hmm. Be proactive, take some personal responsibility, start making the small decisions, Make your bed in the morning, start reading instead of being on your phone, stuff like that. Work as hard as you can. Ask yourself the question at the end of every day, did I do what I could have done to be the best today? And then just take every day as it comes.
Thanks for listening to Redefining Resilience.
To learn more about building your mental and physical readiness, check out odysseyresilience.org.
And follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok.